Catch GurlTauX every day. Follow socials, here's the way.
GurlTauX, every platform come to play. Catch our vibe, don't delay.
Facebook, YouTube streams, scrolling through your daily memes. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about.
The Google broadcast to
Keeping it real, it's what we do.
broadcast to living room.
So tune in now and join our crew. Lights moving through the screen.
Hey, Google,
Click subscribe,
broadcast to
don't
living room.
need a beat chatter, it's our routine.
Hey, is there a way you can change my camera screen?
Join the fun and see what GurlTauX is all about. GurlTauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere GurlTauX can be seen.
Sorry,
GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about. Update stories, laugh and cry. It's GurlTauX, so don't question why. It's the show that you'll adore. Come back daily to get some more. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about. GurlTauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere GurlTauX can be seen. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about. GurlTauX, log in now, watch our show. Likes and comments, let them flow. Every day we're on our way. GurlTauX show is here to stay. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about.
Well, hello. It is Wednesday, what they call hump day. I'm just going to kind of talk a little off the cuff today, and I do have a couple things to show because of I don't know. I just see so much what appears to me like, I mean, I'm on YouTube because I enjoy it. I want to do it. Of course, who doesn't want to make some money doing what they like doing and doing what they love and being honest? But the level of grifting that you see on YouTube, TikTok, and what I'm talking about with that is people that are false advertising. They're putting out information that is, oh, check this out, buy this amazing thing. And then you get it and you're like, oh, why are all the pages blank? You know, I mean, like, that's what I'm talking about. Not just that, but other grifting too. When there is a hot topic, and like in the Garcia deportation case, there's GoFundMe's for the wife and him, and there are people that are virtue signaling, going online and posting their virtuous selves about how, oh, we're going to get him back and bless you. He is a freaking MS-13 gang member. And then there are people donating money and people who are taking money for these causes, like the Carmelo Anthony case. I mean, there are so many people taking money from the Carmelo Anthony case. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you can believe in your heart of hearts that Dominique fella who's been charged in the past with, like, his criminal record is pretty extensive, to be honest with you. So he has check forging, and his crimes go all the way up from 2009, 2007, I think, 2015, 2000, you know. So it's like, has he really stopped, or did he just find a better way to grift? Did he just find a better way? Um, and it makes you wonder, um, what is really on the agenda. Um, and it makes you concerned that there is mm, there's something more going on there, especially especially with the stuff he's saying. He's such a race baiter. He says this isn't about race, but yet he has been just absolutely, uh, absolutely making it about race. He has said some really horrible things, and it really makes me concerned that mm, we're seeing it. We're seeing what's going on, but um but are we really seeing what's going on? Like, let me pull this up I found today, and I want to make sure I type this in correctly. Um, so I'm gonna show you really quick. I hope this works without me having any problems with the site, because sometimes it is difficult to navigate, but it's something that made me concerned, and I wanted to share it. Um, let's remove that one. But I wanted to share this with you. So this is the tax exempt organization search tool. Okay, so you can search for organizations. Um, search for tax exempt organizations. So you go here, and what there is you can search by EIN, you can search by city, you can search by state, and you can search um, by their name. Um, now, where's the one where you can put in their name? Oh, okay. You do the down arrow, organization name, and you type in the name. So I'm going to type in next generation. And there's a reason why I'm showing you guys this. Okay. So next generation network is what he goes by. And it's out of Texas. It is from Dallas. Um, it's from Dallas, Texas, and so that's all accurate. So if you just put in Next Generation Network, I think it's Action Network. I'm sorry, Action Network. So this is the organization that he claims is a 501c3 organization, and that he works under to help with this. So when you search, it'll come up with the name. And I already did this earlier. So, okay. Next Generation Action Network, Community Development Corporation. This is what he started back in, I don't remember what the dates were. But this was revocated, meaning they took away his nonprofit status in 2017. It was revoked in September of 2017. And you can't really find anything else because it's been revoked since then. So remember that. Next Generation Action Network Community Development Corporation. Okay. So they don't actually have any of the other information in there. But if you go here, you got Next Generation Action Network Foundation, Grand Prairie, Texas. And then that's on the auto revocation list as well. And that was auto revoked in 2024. That is a 501c3. Now, it was revoked for not filing 990 forms. That means not filing any income statements. And here's their determination letter. Now, this is where you can see certain things. And you don't get it's an auto revoke if you get auto revoked. What does that say? Download start to see it, press and hold escape. Okay. Um Open in new link. That's what I'm going to try. You know what? I probably have to get off this main page. There it is. Okay. So I'm probably going to have to pull this one up too because I downloaded it several times. So I will share this page with you. I'm going to bring this up bigger. Now, this is out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And this is Next Generation Network Foundation, Inc., Greenview Street, Grand Prairie, Texas. And it says that they were determined, they got their exemption status in 2016. So this is the one when they got it in 2016. But this one also has a revocation. I don't think you can see the page that I'm sharing. So hold on, let me do a different share. I hate that this makes it where I can only share one stupid thing at a time, and then I have to go back in to this stuff separately. I think that's the letter. Okay, let me add that. Okay, so this was June of 2016. It does not have his name on it. Okay, it does it, which is interesting because mine have contact person is, which I don't understand the IRS sometimes because I had to be so specific in the stuff that I was doing. And I mean, overly specific. And this says their contact person is customer service. Really? Okay. That's who their contact person is. So it doesn't give a name. It just says, dear applicant, and that they received their 501c3 status. But if you go back to, if you go back, share again, you go back to this other one, and you can see that it was tax period 2016, but principal officer is Dominique Alexander, and that's on Dallas, Texas. Okay, so he is the primary principal officer, even though the mailing address is in Grand Prairie, and the contact person in their letter is customer service. I don't know. Interesting. And it shows that this one also has a revocation date of 5/15/2024. Now, if you notice, this is Next Generation Action Network Foundation. Okay. Then you go back. Now we're gonna go back. Oh, forgive me. I will pull this back up. Okay, so I'm gonna go back down here. So as you can see, it says Next Generation Action Network, and it says principal officer name and address. It's Dominique Alexander, 2512 East Overton Road, Dallas, Texas. But of course it says mailing addresses in Grand Prairie, Texas. Now, if you go up here, it shows this was a 501c3 and their exemption reinstatement date, revocation date. There is no reinstatement date. There is a revocation date of 5/15/2024. Revocation posting date was August 12 of 2024. So they lost their exemption status in 2024. Now, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here, and in you can lose your filing, and there says that it was organizations who have wait up here for not auto revocation. Organizations whose federal tax exempt status was automatically revoked for not filing a Form 990 series return for notice of 3 consecutive years. Important note, just because an organization appears on this list does not mean the organization is currently revoked or that they have been reinstated or that they have not been reinstated, as they may have been reinstated. However, if you notice, those 2 names initially were different names. The other one had community. This one has foundation. This one they did the tax year from 2017, but then they didn't do, obviously they didn't do a follow-up. This says copy of the return for 2020, but that means they didn't do it 2021, 2022, 2023, and then they were revoked. Okay, so that's that one. Now, we're going to do this search again, and we're going to show, okay, that one is here. That's Next Generation Action Network Community Development Corporation. That one was revoked in 2017. Then this other one was started, and then it was revoked in 2024. Okay. Then you go to the third one, number 3. And if you can tell by all 3, and this is where Elon Musk is so right, because they don't talk to each other. They don't have a checks and balance system in there to see that grifting or fraud is happening. So over here on the far left side is the EIN number. Now, I have an EIN number for my business. And because I've never done anything fraudulently, I have changed my business. I changed my business from a construction company to a wedding event planning business. And then now it's an art business. You know what I did with the IRS? I went in and put a change of business name operating under the same owner, the same EIN. Here's my new information, my new address. So it's listed under my original EIN is still the same EIN. I never changed my EIN. Okay, they kind of treat it like a social security number somewhat. So here he has 1, 2, 3 different EIN numbers, 3 different names of the organization. So the first one was Next Generation Action Network Community Development Corporation, Dallas, Texas, United States, auto revocation. But if you click on it, there's no information, so you cannot physically see that he is the primary on this particular one. Okay, I'm going to assume he is, because that's what he goes under. The reason why you can't see anything on that one is because there is no determination letter. So I don't know if they just did not even give him full, because usually it shows your determination letter, Form 990s, auto revocation list, copies of returns. So that's everything the IRS has. So this one doesn't even show that he has a determination letter, meaning they never even received their status. But if you notice, this one here is a 501c4. Okay, C4 can take donations and can donate to politics. Political affiliations. This next one has a new EIN number, Next Generation Action Network Foundation. Different name, different city. And we just looked at the determination letter, and I don't know that it will show. Yeah, it just shows this. It's that letter that I pulled up, because it doesn't pull up the pop-up on there, but that's the one that I just read to you. It doesn't have really much information other than they got their status, but it does show his name on the forms. Then you go, and that one has an auto revocation list as well. That one was also a 501c3, and that was auto revoked in 2024, 5/15, and it was officially posted on 8/12, and that's because they send you the revocation letter. And I'm gonna give you the devil's advocate side of here. You know, you can make mistakes, blah blah blah. I myself have a nonprofit 501c3 for veterans. It's our veteran organization. I got an auto revocation for not filing the taxes, and it was not filing the 990 forms for 3 years. And it was 100% failure on my part to read the fine print and comprehension. I'm really smart. I did all my stuff myself, and I didn't file because we hadn't really started the organization, and we hadn't really brought anything in, no money. All monies that had been brought in were our own money, our own funds. So there was nothing to report. It was literally zeros down the line. Nobody's donated. Nobody's gotten a tax exempt on anything. We haven't really done anything for those first 3 years because it was all about building what we were going to be doing. So I got an auto revocation letter. You know what I did? I didn't close it and fraudulently start a new one with a new name and a new EIN. What I did is I submitted a request for reinstatement. I had to fill out some forms. I had to fill out some documents. I had to submit some information. I had to put a letter together, what I did, why I did it. Oops, I'm sorry. Now I know better. You have to file even if you don't make any money. Because where my brain was at was, if you make less than like $3,000 a month or a year as an employed person, you really don't have to file taxes. You don't make enough to worry about it. You're not going to get anything back. And you'll probably get your little bit that you paid into it. I suggest everyone always file their taxes. Don't ever not file your taxes. But I was under the impression that if it was zero, there was no need to report zero. So I was wrong. You do need to report zero. There you go. So because of that, I had to report what I was what I actually did. So my apologies to everyone, including myself, for being stupid. And that's really what it was. I was doing something stupid and I didn't realize what I was doing. So I learned my lesson, but I did a reinstatement and I submitted everything. Actually, it was one of the most positive IRS encounters that I had. When they did that whole auditing of MAGA people back in like 2017, I was audited because I had MAGA Network and MAGA One Radio. So I would assume that I would have been, and I was targeted. But anyway, I got the letter. I called the phone number on there. It had an agent that was assigned to me. She called me back several times. We actually played phone tag for about a week or so. And then she called me back and I told her what had happened. She helped me to make sure I had everything filled out correctly. And then I said, so then afterwards, do I need to submit the 990 form? She's like, no, you need to submit those with this all at the same time, the last 3 years. So I went back and I over gave her information. I gave her more information than what they needed. I gave them all my filing documents. I gave them all my my our bylaws. I gave her way more than they requested. And then I did the 990 forms. The letter, they had specific questions about what we claim that we do and what do you do, what do you not do. And I gave a definition and an explanation for every single thing that we do. And it wanted past, present, and future, like what we did in the past, which was basically just building things, getting things ready. We helped very few people, maybe like 50. And then we have future or present, what we're doing now, and then future and what our goals are. Basically, it gave them a blueprint of what our goals are. And in fact, when I had my heart stopped and I was in the hospital and had emergency surgery, while I was recovering, my husband came in and said, "Hey, by the way, your letter from the IRS came and you got reinstated." Or we got reinstated because he is in it with me. But hey, it's all about me, right? So anyway, I got it reinstated. That was honest to God, not knowing what I'm supposed to be doing. What I see here, though, when you look at this, I don't see this as an accident and you didn't know what you were doing, because you have one EIN number, Next Generation Action Network. And why is it called Next Generation Action Network? So if you look up, who is it? Al Sharpton. Next Generation National Action Network. So his is National Action Network. Now look at how close this person's name is to it. Next Generation Action Network. And Al Sharpton's is National Action Network. I would be interested to see what his tax stuff does, but I'm sure he probably has some pretty decent accountants to keep him, at least, not that he's not grifting and not that it's not bullshit, but he probably has a little bit more to keep it going. And I think the reason that this guy, this wonderful gentleman that is trying to represent this family, I think the reason why he chose this name, Next Generation Action Network, is because it's so close to National Action Network, and it can be confused for one and the same. But he has one EIN number here, and then this is revoked. Next Generation Action Network, Community Development Corporation. Holy crap, could you make that a little longer? Then you get revoked. Then you open it again with a new EIN number, Next Generation Action Network Foundation. Okay. New name, new EIN, new location, Grand Prairie, Texas. Now, and that is the one that I pulled up the letter. And again, if you remember, that only said that it was the contact person for that was customer service. Interesting that it was customer service. Like nobody's name on here. Contact person is customer service. Boy, I tell you what, I don't. This is when they were lackadaisical. Actually, this is when they were very, very pro-liberal, left side. So they're not the ones that got targeted. We got targeted in 2017. Okay, so then you go to number three, and that's got a whole new EIN. It's still Next Generation Action Network. Now, he didn't want to lose the Next Generation Action Network because it's too close to the National Action Network. Too similar. He wants to be comparable. So he starts that one up, determination letter. Now I'm gonna have to close this one for a second. I wish this would allow me to share a separate screen, but I have to remove that one from the screen and share a new screen. So I'm going to pull up this determination letter because I want to make sure. Come on. There we go. Come on. All right. Stop. I don't need a tutorial. I know how to use Adobe. Thank you. Sometimes these things are really annoying, aren't they? Okay. All right, here we go. So now here you got, I don't want a tutorial. Thank you. Now you got the Next Generation Action Network Foundation of Texas. And this is Dominique Alexander. I don't need a tour. And this is 1808 South Good Latimer Expressway, Dallas, Texas. I would love for someone to drive over there and tell me if that's a real place. So effective date of exemption, February 14th, 2025. So he lost his exemption status last year, and then he started out a new one again. Just got his, the date was 3/3 of 2025 was the date of this letter. And the effective date of exemption is February 14th. February 14th. And they are doing things way faster. So that means he only just applied for this, like probably in January or even the beginning of February if they really moved quickly to do it. So this is their standard letter. Of you got your status and here's what you can do, blah, blah, blah. So he does have the tax exemption status currently because he did apply for it. He does have it. But I'm going to keep an eye on how long that is. And then I'm also pulling up, okay, organizations eligible to receive tax-deductible charity contributions. User may rely on this list in determining deductibility of their contributors. On publication 78 data list, deductibility code PC. Okay? Now, just so I can show that I'm not full of shit, I am going to share my screen again. And I'm going to share this one. And I'm actually going to tattle on myself and show the truth here. But it's not letting me type. Okay. Because I want to show you what it looks like when you put in, it's searching. It's searching. Gosh, it takes forever. Vix Ranch Inc., Athens, Alabama. That's where we are. Okay. Publication 78, determination letter. Favorable determination is issued by the IRS if the organization, and then this is the final letter, and I'm going to pull it open before I share screen because I have to share a whole new screen. Okay. Let me close that for a second. Add another one. Window. I'm getting this down. Now Now, the only reason I am doing this because I could just share my letter and have it already saved as a thing. But what I wanted to do was share it so that we could look at it and you could see that I actually looked it up. So there it shows my address, and they didn't fix my address because that's the original. So if you see effective date of exemption is October 23rd of 2021. Okay. That's when we first got our exemption status and we were in Nevada. All right. So you can clearly see, and it's the same letter. I mean, like they don't really change the letter on anything except for, I am curious on this. Well, I am curious. Oh, it has the same stupid thing. Person to contact is customer service. That is actually not for the organization. That is person to contact customer service IRS. Okay, so forget that his said that. That's what that's for because this here is all their contact information and it has your EIN on there. And that's searchable, so it's not like I'm sharing anything that's would rat me out for anything. But that is the determination letter, and that goes back to my original. Okay. And it also shows you that it's active. When you pull up my organization, it says that organizations eligible to receive da 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 da. It says, oh wait, where? Well, I have the letter, but it shows that I was on the auto revocation list, and I will have to contact them and find out why it doesn't show that I was reinstated. But I have the letter that says it was reinstated, so it is active. And maybe they just haven't updated it, but her phone number's on there and she was super, super nice. So I will go contact her. But what my concern is when you look at these things here, and he has 3 different ones under 3 different names. And that to me is concerning. Like, what does he have going on that he has 3 different organizations with 3 different names and they were revoked? Revoked, new one. And the new one only started in February. Does it not say grifter a little bit to you? It does to me. It makes me concerned that this person is doing this. And if you think he's doing this to help this family, and if you're not familiar with who this guy is, I'll bring him up too. But it oops, sorry, so sorry. I turned that off. But if you're not familiar with who he is, he is the he's no, I don't even know what he is. He is speaking for the family. And he's treating this kid like he's a like he is a movie star. I don't, and it's very upsetting and frustrating. And it's one of those things what people are talking about. And I'm talking about this once again because I am so irritated with people taking advantage of a situation, people taking advantage of other people. It makes me bothered. And we all should be bothered by what is actually going on. We really should. So let's listen to this real quick.
On one of my videos to tell Metcalf's father, quit. I made a statement on one of my videos to tell Metcalf's father, quit capitulating to these black people because they secretly despise and hate white people and want revenge for what they believe is still a wrong way back in slavery.
Stunning developments in a tragic story out of Texas that grabbed attention across America. I'm talking about the fatal stabbing of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a Frisco, Texas track meet, allegedly at the hands of 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony. Now, since the incident on April 2nd, details...
I am going to interrupt. They keep saying alleged, and people do say, well, why are they saying alleged? When he was arrested, when they caught him, he literally said, it's not alleged I did it. They legally kind of have to say alleged until he's found guilty, because it's still all alleged. It's just a legality term. Even when somebody admits it, when they go to court, they're alleged until found guilty. So it is still alleged as of now, even though they have it in a statement. And of course, I'm sure some attorney is going to say, they can't use that because he said it under duress, or he said it quick throw of the tongue. But that stuff is usable. But he wasn't Mirandized at the time, so they could push that he wasn't Mirandized when he said it. And I don't believe he was Mirandized yet. And there was, I don't see in any of the statements where he was Mirandized prior to his statement. So there's a chance they'll throw out his admission of guilt. There's a chance they will. I know what they are going for is they are trying so hard to push this narrative of he's innocent because he's black and white people are bad. That's what they're pushing for.
And events surrounding this story have been unbelievable. Here's the latest. Jeff Metcalf, Austin's father, was targeted by a swatting call last night. Frisco police say officers responded to a gunshot call at...
Now, if you're not familiar with what a swatting call is, it's when someone calls law enforcement and says, there's gunfire at this house. They give the address. They're like, I'm hiding in the closet. There's men with guns. There's people here with guns. I'm outside and I saw them going with guns. I know they have guns. I saw them. They're shooting people. They're shooting people all over the place. Any made up thing that causes them to send out a team to the house to go after the person at the house. And that's what swatting is if you're not familiar with swatting.
Metcalf's home. No one was home at the time, but Jeff arrived 5 minutes later. All of this happening after that despicable scene yesterday where he was escorted by police out of the press conference held by Carmelo Anthony's family.
Which I found to be disgusting in itself, because they treated him like he was the assailant's father and that they were the victim's family. It is inappropriate for you to be here. He was, I agree with Officer Tatum. You can't capitulate, as he says, but you can't negotiate with people who aren't willing to listen, or, in my opinion, that have an agenda. And what Dominique Alexander has is an agenda. He has an agenda to make some money off of this case, off of the sympathies and the hatred of a group of people, and perpetuate this narrative that they want to use, hoping that that is what will get him off. What should happen is Texas should follow the laws, and the laws state you can't provoke, and you can defend yourself in the case of something that is as you are being treated. So if he were violently being attacked, he could respond and defend himself. That wasn't the case. He was not. And there are many witness statements that do not say he was being beaten, even though that's the narrative that's been put out. Him and his brother were jumped on him and they were. No, that's not what any of the witness statements say. And there are numerous. Let's continue.
My next guest has been following all of these developments closely. He's former Tucson police officer and host of the Officer Tatum Show. It's Brandon Tatum. Brandon, thanks for being with us here today. You've been following this story closely. It only seems to get more wild and, quite honestly, more abhorrent by the day.
Yeah, Will, thank you for having me on. And it is very despicable what we've seen so far. And it just speaks to the underlying underbelly of racism that still exists in this country, perpetuated by Black people, in my personal opinion. I made a statement on one of my videos to tell Metcalf's father, quit capitulating to these Black people because they do not want to be your friend. A lot of them who are associated with this incident, that's giving money in the GoFundMe, who's representing the family, they secretly despise and hate white people and want revenge for what they believe is still a wrong way back in slavery. So it is turning south as the capitulation continues. But another thing that I find is going to be very problematic is that you have people that are pushing disinformation that makes it appear that this is a self-defense claim. And I do not think that this kid has a chance at self-defense, which is going to be horrible for him at the end of the day.
That does seem to be what the claim will be made when it gets to the court. But in the public opinion or in the public sphere, Brandon, you're right. We're already seeing comparisons made. In fact, Dominic Alexander did it yesterday at that press conference. He made comparisons to, for example, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, and what he said about Kyle Rittenhouse is that he shot 3 people in the back with an AK-47. Not the facts. Not the fact.
That has to be the most asinine thing that you can even try to express. Kyle Rittenhouse was attacked. He was chased down, cornered. A guy tried to take his weapon. He shot him. Another person tried to use a deadly weapon against him, which was a skateboard at the time. He ended up shooting him, and another person pulled a gun on him. And what else could he have done but protect himself lawfully in a place that he belonged? This is a very different situation. You have a young man who brought a knife to a track meet, which is already illegal, bringing a knife on the premise of a sporting event. And then you have the person, obviously, with the evidence that we have so far, is premeditating a stabbing because he has his hand in his bag and he's telling them, touch me and see what happens. You only need a split second to develop premeditation. So if you have a plan that you're going to use a weapon against somebody before you use the weapon, that's premeditation. And not utilizing equal.
Yeah, premeditation does not have to mean like you sat in your house and you drew out all the plans and you planned for it. They have ways of determining whether or not you had premeditated it from the time just before you did it. And the premeditation can be that he knew he had a knife in his bag. And because he knew he had a knife in the bag, that all he had to do was push some buttons and he would just, jump right out and provoke the guy. If he gets him to put his hands on him, I can stab him. I got my mark on taking out a white boy. And, I don't know if he was trying to get with some gang. I don't even know how he did the gang sign, but he did some gang sign in one of his videos. There's another one that I'm going to pull up real quick about that part of it, which is rather interesting, actually. But I will pull it up so you can hear that part too.
Force against a person is another uphill battle for him. Someone pushing you does not necessitate you to use deadly force against them. In no world is that legal, especially not in the state of Texas.
Let me ask you a question, in your opinion, Brandon, of Dominic Alexander. That press conference, I think we both agree, was absolutely appalling. He managed to butcher not just regular English grammar, but he managed to butcher the facts, for example, of Kyle Rittenhouse case. How does someone with not just his inabilities, but his criminal record become a voice in the public eye for someone like the family of Carmelo Anthony?
Will, this is just a continuation of the manipulation from Black leaders to just pimp out these families for money. This man is not qualified whatsoever, and I can put my life on it that the defense team is literally want to throw up thinking about this guy litigating or putting information out in the public, and he's an idiot. He can't even say defense. What did he say? Self-defense. The other day he said self-defense. He don't even know how to say self-defense. And then also, I think what his objective is.
I'm sorry, but that's so funny. It's self-defense, and it's Daniel Pena, and it's Kyle Rittenhouse. I mean, okay, accent and all, but come on. Defense? Come on.
And people may be missing this, is that they want to get the public to be on their side in order to taint the jury pool. Because as much disinformation they can put out there, as much sympathy they can garnish from the surrounding.
Now, that is an absolute part of what is important for people to see, because I'm going to switch to this one real quick. And it's about talking about when you have misinformation that gets out to the public. Now, let's say these women here, these people on this panel. Now, this is a panel that is talking about this case, and he's bringing it up because of the absurdity of it. But he's bringing this one up for that purpose as well. And the thing is what you don't realize is Kyle Rittenhouse's case was several years ago. And the information is still false that's happening.
I think in the comments.
Name a white person that killed a black person that is not or have not been held accountable in the last 5 years.
George Zimmerman?
George Zimmerman wasn't even white.
Oh,
just say one thing. I just want to answer your question. Who killed who or whatnot. Kyle Rittenhouse was 17 years old, white boy that murdered two or three black kids in Michigan during a protest. He was acquitted on all charges.
Okay, and they're not stopping her because they're all in this group together where they're perpetuating the same thing. Now, I think this Anton Daniels does fight back a little bit, but it wasn't 3 black kids. It was 3 white kids. Or 3 white men, and he was white, and he was being chased down and was attacking them. He had a AR-15. He had came out there as a medic or for medical EMT assistance in this rally that they were having. And whether or not he should or shouldn't have been there when he's from Wisconsin is neither here nor there. He was, and that's the fact, and that doesn't matter. And I believe I thought it was in Illinois, but maybe it was in Michigan. Maybe I have that part wrong. But I thought it was I think it was in Michigan. But he was on his back being hit and beaten with a skateboard and a gun in his face. They chased him down and got him on the ground and were beating him when he shot the first one. And then he had to shoot the second one. And then the third one was shot in the shoulder. And that third one, they had as a witness testimony trying to convict him on the stand. And he basically won the case for him because he did talk about how, yeah, he had a gun. He had a handgun. And yes, he was chasing him down. And yes, he did hit him. And yes, they had hit him in the head. And yes, they all had him down. And he was surrounded by numerous people. Totally different scenario than you're sitting in my seat and you need to leave. Oh, touch me if it's like that girl who said, catch me outside, catch me outside. And he was like, touch me if you want, touch me, see what happens. And then, so I guess he touched him. I don't know if it was a finger on him, a hand on his shoulder or whatever. And then I guess the witnesses have said that he said a second time, punch me and see what happens. He did not punch him. He apparently grabbed the kid's backpack and was physically going to escort him out of the tent, and he stabbed him in the heart. Not the same thing, not self-defense at all.
Jordan Penny, I think that's his name. He choked out that black homeless man on a train in New York recently.
He just randomly picked a guy and just choked him out and killed him. No, the people that were on that train, black, white, and Hispanic, testified to the fact that they were afraid for their lives and he protected them from their loss of life. So they considered him a hero.
Acquitted of charges. So and
No,
I guess
neither one of those was killed. Stop.
You know, but he was pointing out.
Now the thing is that bothers me is, like, you'll hear her in a second. Do you know that Kyle Rittenhouse? He doesn't know it either. So they don't know. And I mean, they all have computers in front of them. They can freaking Google it just like I can. They can Google it right now in front of them to see what three black. In fact, I'm going to do that while we're sitting here. I will continue playing this, and I'm going to shorten this side over here, and I am going to Google while they're talking. So I'm going to keep it on the same speed. I'm going to wait to hit play until I start Googling, and I'm going to Google who did Kyle Rittenhouse shoot. Okay, so we're going to let them continue for a second.
Like why there could be, I know you don't think it's true, but there could be like a sense of white power supremacy in this country, because sometimes when white people do certain crimes, they're not held to the same extent as black people or other people do. And so you were asking him to give names. I gave you two, and one was actually the same age as the guy, the black boy that just killed the white guy. And he was acquitted of all his charges. He was also a 70-year-old white boy in Wisconsin.
Happens all the time.
And it's like, well, why was he acquitted when he actually murdered someone? You all are saying that,
because they didn't murder anybody.
Yeah, he did not murder them.
What do you mean?
No,
Kyle
they didn't.
Rittenhouse definitely murdered 2 or 3 people. Are you familiar with the story?
No, I'm not.
And she's not either.
So you can't just make that statement then.
So I absolutely can, because if the court of law determined that they was acquitted of the charges, then that means that he's not a murderer.
No, that means that the system worked in his.
Okay, so now we're gonna. So I searched that quickly. So here's the article. This is according to Wikipedia. It was the quickest that had more information. On August 25th, 2020. So we're going to clear up a few things. A 17-year-old from Antioch, Illinois, shot and killed 2 men and wounded another man in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So the event actually was in Wisconsin, in Kenosha. My husband's from Wisconsin. Shout out to Wisconsinites. The shooting occurred during the protest riots and civil unrest that followed the shooting of Jacob Blake. Race was a major theme in U.S. media commentary of the event, although Rittenhouse and those he shot were white. Rittenhouse was armed with an AR-15 style rifle and had joined a group of armed people in Kenosha who said they were in Kenosha to protect businesses. That's what they went there for, is to protect the businesses. Joseph Rosenbaum, a 36-year-old unarmed Kenosha man, ran at Rittenhouse and grabbed the barrel of his rifle. After throwing a plastic shopping bag of clothes at him, Rittenhouse shot Rosenbaum 4 times at close range, killing him. A crowd formed and Rittenhouse quickly fled the scene. Anthony Huber, a 26-year-old resident of Silver Lake, struck Rittenhouse in the head with a skateboard and attempted to wrestle his rifle away. Rittenhouse shot him once fatally. Gage Paul Grosskreutz, a 26-year-old West Allis man who pointed a handgun at Rittenhouse, was shot by Rittenhouse once in the right arm and survived. He is the one that testified, and he is the one that gave this scene right here, that they chased him down and that the other one tried to grab his gun. And someone grabbing your firearm is a threat. If they are trying to take your firearm from you because that man didn't have a firearm. Now, both of the 2 that were shot, from my understanding, have prior arrests and had been to prison. One was a child molester and honestly shouldn't have been out there anyway, especially trying to cause violence. Um, so there is that. Kenosha County prosecutors charged Rittenhouse with 2 counts of homicide and 1 count of attempted homicide, 2 counts of reckless endangerment and 1 count of unlawful possession of a firearm, and 1 count of curfew violation. His trial lasted from November 1 to 19, 2021. I watched the entire thing. Prosecutors sought to show Rittenhouse as a criminal gunman, whose defense lawyers argued that Rittenhouse had acted in self-defense, asserting that his attackers were part of a mob that attacked him in the street like an animal, and that he used force necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself. Judge Bruce Schroeder dismissed Okay. So sorry. So apparently, I don't know what happened, but we had a flash. Everything went out. All my cameras, my lights, my power, everything just flashed off. And it took a second for me to get the internet back on, but apparently I got it back. So let's listen to these yahoos again. Sorry for the interrupt because he didn't murder anybody. Okay, but like I said, in the 30 seconds that that happened, I was able to look it up and read the whole thing here. Um, so we were at Judge Bruce Schroeder dismissed the unlawful possession charge and the curfew violation charge for being legally unsupported. And a jury found Rittenhouse not guilty of the remaining charges. Public sentiment of the shooting, as well as media coverage, are both polarized and politicized. Now, he was being targeted, hunted. Everyone hated him because they were calling him a racist, a white supremacist, and that he killed 3 people. And they really tried to push this narrative that they were 3 black people, but they were not. Um, so it was absolutely ridiculous. Multiple right-wing politicians and figures welcomed Rittenhouse acquittal, stating that the shootings were self-defense. They absolutely were. President Joe Biden called for the jury verdict to be respected, although stated that the verdict will leave many Americans feeling angry and concerned, myself included. He knew what was going to happen because the facts of the case were that it was self-defense. Multiple Democratic politicians and figures criticized the verdict as a miscarriage of justice, saying that the acquittal was emblematic of racial double standards in American jury system. Gun control advocates expressed concerns that the verdict would embolden vigilantism and militia groups. The Economist YouGov poll conducted during the trial found that 2/3 of the Republicans thought Rittenhouse should be acquitted, while 3/4 of Democrats thought he should be convicted. So that is what happened. I'm not going to go into the rest of it, but that is what happened there. So
Absolutely. Absolutely it is in this
I'm
situation.
gonna tap out.
100%.
I'm done now.
Because if the evidence is showing that he's not guilty, then why would I say that he's not guilty?
she
Innocent until
taps
proven
out the
guilty in a
minute
court of
that,
law.
This is what I'm talking about.
and this is
What I'm talking about right here.
this is the norm. If it doesn't fit what you want them to say, then I'm done. But in the amount of time you're sitting there arguing and disagreeing with it, somebody in that group there that is perpetuating the bullshit could have Googled, hey, wait, Kyle Rittenhouse, it was 3 white dudes. And he didn't kill all 3 of them, he only killed 2. And it was actually the testimony from the 3rd one that was shot in the arm that actually got him his proof of self-defense. He was the reason. Because at least that's one thing I have to say. At least he told the truth on the stand. I have to say that.
The young sister up there don't know what she's talking about. Rittenhouse, there were no black people involved in that situation. None. The 3 people that attacked Kyle Rittenhouse, they were all white dudes. 2 of them had been to prison, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
The Penny situation up in New York, you had people that went to that trial and got on the stand and supported the young man doing what he did because they all thought that their lives were in danger.
Right.
And these were black people, white people, Hispanics. A lot of different people got up there on the stand and stood up for him. There's also another case in New York that's going on right now. And he will be acquitted as well because it's a similar situation. The only difference is that the young man had a knife and he stabbed the individual that was attacking others on the train. But his case hadn't actually gotten a trial yet. But I would assume that based off of the Penny case, his case, he's going to be acquitted as well. I mean, come on, man. This is the problem right here, is that people do not know.
Okay, and I'm going to go back to here one more time, and I'm just going to read this one part for you and share this with you real quick. Is just this one little statement here at the very beginning of it. On August 25th, 2020, Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old from Antioch, Illinois, shot and killed 2 men and wounded another man in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The shooting occurred during the protest riots and civil unrest that followed the shooting of Jacob Blake. Race was a major theme in the U.S. media commentary of the event, although Rittenhouse and those he shot were white. Clearly stated. And I know some people can go, yeah, but you're reading from Wikipedia and anybody can add to Wikipedia. But for the most part, when there's a court case like that, the court documents are pretty accurate in that part of it. So let's go ahead and let's just finish up what they're saying here.
They got a narrative from CNN or MSDNC or somebody else, or it's just they done heard a half-truth from somebody else and they've taken and run with it. Because this lady just mentioned 2 stories and she was wrong about both of them. But that's what's going on in America right now, and that's why you have so many.
Well, and the problem is if you continue to perpetuate that, and I love a lot of the commentators that I listen to, like Matt Walsh and Charlie Kirk and I can name all sorts of ones, but I see them too when something is misstated, that they don't then state the facts. They'll say that's wrong, but they won't state what the facts are. And I think that they should give the background of what actually happened with a little bit of the receipts, a little bit of the something to back it up. I mean, yes, this is just Wikipedia I pulled up, but it was able to show you what actually
many people up in their feelings about this particular case here, because a lot of them, they just don't know. Let's check out what Brandon Tatum has to say about this.
Well, thank you for having me on. And it is very despicable what we've seen so far. And it just speaks to the underlying underbelly of racism that still exists in this country, perpetuated by black people, in my personal opinion. I made a statement on one of my videos to tell Metcalf's father, quit capitulating to these black people because they do not want to be your friend. A lot of them who are associated with this incident, that's giving money in the GoFundMe, who's representing the family, they secretly despise and hate white people and want revenge for what they believe is still a wrong way back in slavery. So it's turning south as the capitulation continues. But another thing that I find is going to be very problematic is that you have people that are pushing disinformation that makes it appear that this is a self-defense claim. And I do not think that this kid has a chance at self-defense, which is going to be horrible for him at the end of the day.
That does seem to be what the claim will be made when it gets to the court. But
the thing is he has to show proof. Now I know some people will say that it is the part of the prosecution to prove that it's not self-defense. And yes and no. It goes both ways. His defense has to prove it's self-defense, and the prosecution has to prove it was not self-defense. But they can't just claim self-defense and then have nothing to back it up. They can't just claim it and then the prosecution has to prove it's not. They have to have something that determines, yes, it was Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Okay, you can't just claim it and then it's all up to the prosecution to prove you're not. Um, you have to prove it is as well. You know, it goes both directions.
But in the public opinion or in the public sphere, Brandon, you're right. We're already seeing comparisons made. In fact, Dominic Alexander did it yesterday at that press conference. He made comparisons to, for example, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, that has to be the most asinine thing that you can even try to express. Kyle Rittenhouse was attacked. He was chased down, cornered. A guy tried to take his weapon. He shot him. Another person tried to use a deadly weapon against him, which was a skateboard at the time. He ended up shooting him, and another person pulled a gun on him. And what else could he have done but protect himself lawfully in a place that he belonged? This is a very different situation. You have a young man who brought a knife to a track meet, which is already illegal, bringing a knife on the premise of a sporting event. And then you have the person, obviously, with the evidence.
Right. That right there should be one of the biggest factors in proving self-defense. He would have self-defense perhaps in a fight. If they were both charged with assault because they both got into a fight, an altercation, and he said, put your hands on me and watch what happens, and he punched back and he defended himself and they got into a little bit of an assault situation. If he just said, don't touch me, and then hands were laid on him, and then he fought back and there was no stabbing, he didn't have an illegal lethal weapon and use it and kill someone. So you see where that's going. You have to have a little bit more than just that you want to claim something. You have to prove that it exists. And what they're trying to prove by these statements and by this group that they're gathering around them, and this grifter Dominique Alexander, who is, I think he's doing this because he's going to take a little bit off the I'm sure he's taking a big chunk is actually what he's probably doing. But he sees it as a money grab. That's my opinion.
Evidence that we have so far is premeditated.
In his words alone, actions speak louder than words.
Meditating a stabbing, because he has his hand in his bag and he's telling them, touch me and see what happens. You only need a split second to develop premeditation. So if you have a plan that you're going to use a weapon against somebody, before you use the weapon, that's premeditation. And not utilizing equal force against a person is another uphill battle for him. Someone pushing you does not necessitate you to use deadly force against them. In no world is that legal, especially not in the state of Texas.
Officer Tatum said it all, man, and he would know. He was a police officer. He would know. I said the same exact thing. And I went and looked.
Well, and in a court of law, it's not about what a police officer thinks or what a police officer believes. I'm a former police officer too, but it's in a court of law, it's not about what a police officer says or a police officer thinks. It is about what a reasonable person would believe. That is how courts are tried. That's how cases are proved yes or no, or right or wrong. It is what would a reasonable and prudent person believe? That is more accurate than just he was a police officer, so he should know. He was not a police officer in Texas. However, he was a police officer in the same state I was a police officer, and Arizona. And you have to prove that you were in fear of your life. And what a reasonable person would believe is true and prudent to you being fearful of your life. Someone putting their hand on you, yet you have to leave. Even if they took two hands and he put two hands on the two sides of his shoulders and said, you got to go. And that wasn't what was in any of the witness statements either. So let's finish this up.
Personally went and looked at the Texas Penal Code. I went and looked at it. It's all out there. It's all public knowledge. And based off of what I read, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I'm not a prosecutor, nor a defense attorney. I'm not. But I got common sense, and I can read, and I can comprehend. And based off of what I read, as per the self-defense statute in Texas, it did not sound or read like this young man has a case for self-defense. Just
No.
based off of the last thing that Officer Tatum said here. Someone pushing you doesn't give you the ability to take it a step further with a weapon, knife or gun. It doesn't give you that. It doesn't afford you, that ability. It just doesn't.
And
But
people
let's check
have
out.
also brought forward the stand your ground law in Texas, and that because it's a stand your ground state, he has the right to stand his ground and not retreat. However, that applies to your personal property. That applies to places you are supposed to be at. Like if you were at a venue that you were supposed to be at, or you are in your house, your vehicle, you have the right to stand your ground and defend your property. It doesn't apply to a place you were not invited nor welcome. You can't go into somebody else's house and then when they tell you to leave, assault them and say, but it was stand your ground. That's not your ground to stand on. So you can't use that as your excuse too. I've heard that one as well. You have your stand your ground law. I'm not sure how much more is on this particular one. But oh yeah, he actually has somebody that interviewed him. And I kind of wanted there was one other video that I had watched and I wanted to share that one. And it was the whole point of this here was me talking about the fact that the grifting aspect of things. Now, why do I think that this guy is grifting? Why do I think this? Why do I believe that this guy is grifting? Well, I believe he's grifting because I mean, he's shown proof that he's grifting. But let me see. There are so many factors involved in trying to push a narrative, trying to push a perspective, trying to push something that isn't necessarily factual. And when you have someone who has picked up the torch, so to speak, for this family. Now, my opinion is they picked somebody not a good person for them to pick to fight their argument because this person that they chose, and I just showed you, he's opened 3 different nonprofits. 2 have been revoked. The third one has not. He's changed the EIN on both, changed the name on both, or all 3. And I've had my own stupid mistakes with my paperwork, but I still have the same EIN number that I started with. And I still have the same. Now I have 2 different EIN numbers, one for my personal business, one for my nonprofit, but they have never changed. Not in the 20 years I've owned my business, and not in now my business has changed, but my EIN number has not, because I changed it and made sure that the IRS knew the correct name and address of my new business. But I kept the EIN, and that is the way they actually want you to do it if you don't go bankrupt. And I mean, there are other ways that you would do some of that stuff. Excuse me. So sorry. I did not mean to burp in the mic, people. So sorry. So let me see if this is the actual one that I wanted to pull up here. But there was a comparison to, and there's a lot of people lot of people getting on saying that they are not supporting, and I mean a lot of African American Black people, depending on how they want to be referred to, because some don't like being called African American and some want to be called Black and some want to be called African American. I say respect that part of it. Um, but there are an awful lot of people saying, nope, nope, this ain't me. This ain't my family. I don't believe in this. I'm not supporting this. I'm not backing this up. Um, so you have too many people that are not knowing the facts, not knowing the truth, and they are claiming things that are not accurate. Just like I saw somebody, Jesse on Fire, I like you, but sometimes you're a little on the tinfoil hat side. You know, when you're talking about bought him a Lexus and asking for more money, you can clearly see the picture of his getting his Lexus was when his family apparently had money and they were doing fine and he wasn't in jail for murder. And it wasn't from their Gifts and Go or a GoFundMe or anything like that. That was bought for his birthday. That was not bought out of this other situation. So we can't compare and say that that he had bought this with that money, because that is not the facts. He did not buy this with the money. And I do have to say, for the people that are talking about the fight that broke out over the protest, the Austin Metcalf rally, I do sort of agree with the dad there. Yes, it's a white thing that white people are upset that this is being misconstrued, but I don't think you have the right to use this man's son as your poster child if he doesn't want you to. If he is not in agreement with what you're doing, I don't think you have the right, and you shouldn't just take advantage. I see that as another grifting side of it, you know? I'm going to call out both sides. If you're grifting, you're grifting. It doesn't matter whether you're doing it for or against. You can't use someone else to make money, a profit, or a name for yourself. And I saw that, I mean, when I saw that they announced they were having White Americans Unite or White American something or other, I did not like that. I thought that was a really bad taste. I was like, you know, and I talked about it, I think, on my show not that long ago, but I'm like, well, you know, think about it from this perspective. I saw that it was not okay that it was not okay that you have, oh, here we go. I found it. Um, I like this guy's channel too. Um, uh, which is funny because he started his channel was all about gaming. But we're about done here. We got like just 2 minutes, so I'm just going to show this out here real quick, and then we are going to be done here. Let's see. And I hate that he always has the chat. I mean,
These
it's
are the
nice in
things
the
that he's
essence
done.
of you can see what he's got reading there. But and you can see all the chats, but at the same time, it can be a little bit obnoxious and annoying. So forgive me, but I do like what is said here.
It's people out here reminding us of the Black struggle in America. And that is
So anyway, the person who he's talking about, this guy right here, these are the things that he's done. Felony injury to a child, forging a check, leading police on a high-speed chase, stealing a car, falsely claiming a car was stolen, offensive physical contact, probation violations, felony theft of property between $2,500 and $30,000, felony assault causing bodily injury, misdemeanor assault, continuous violence against the family, theft, undated, making a false report, undated, and evading arrest, undated. Probably multiple times if the other ones are accurate too. So this guy basically should have 5 stars.
And I'm going to pause that for a second, because the reason why I brought this up is to show this is because, seriously, his charges go back from 2009, felony injury to a child. That child was, I believe, 18 months old, and he shook him and brutally hurt that child. And then continued 2009, 2009, 2009, 2009. Okay. So there are a lot of people that are like, yeah, but that was 20 years ago. That was 2009. Well, 2009 would not be 20 years ago until 2029. So it was not 20 years ago. But then let's wait. Hold on. There's more. Offensive physical contact, 2015. That is now only 10 years ago. Probation violation, 2016. That was only 9 years ago. And then felony theft of property, $2,500 to $30,000, 2016. Do you see how this time is going closer and closer? Felony assault causing serious bodily. And I apologize. I don't have this on the screen. So now you can see it. Felony theft of property, 2016. Felony assault causing serious bodily injury, 2019. Now we're only 6 years ago. Misdemeanor assault, 2019. Continuous violence against a family, 2019. Theft, undated. Making a false report, undated. Evading arrest, undated. And then I'm going to add in there fraud, opening a nonprofit to make money and then just don't do anything and get it revoked and then open a new one 3 times. Let's just say that. Okay, 3 times. We're going to go with that one 3 times. Now, in comparison, and we don't need to listen to this grifter any longer, this fraudster, this little grifter man. I think it's rather disgusting what's happening. Then they had the rally for Austin Metcalf and White People Unite, or American Whites Unite, or whatever it was called. And then you have the comparison here, and I believe it was on Austin Gold's right here. Hopefully this will be at the right spot. And then we're just about finished here, guys.
And so anyway, this guy made a video about it. I'm glad I saw this, because I legitimately forgot where I was going with this, okay? So I wanted to frame everything from that just so you guys can understand what's been going on, how it's happened, and how things have evolved. And then this is one guy talking about it as well. Here we go.
On behalf of the Black community, I would like to apologize to the parents of Austin Metcalf for making a hero
And this is
out
Rob
of the
Smith.
young
I've met
man
him. He's a
that
great guy.
killed your son. I apologize that there are so few fathers around and so few male figures around to teach the Black community about emotional discipline.
And I do want to clarify, he's not saying that this kid's father is not in the home or teaching him things, but it's a big factor in the African American community that there aren't fathers in the home to teach them things. But for Carmelo Anthony, both his parents are together and in the home. I don't know what the dynamics are there. He looks like a weak little twerp, and she looks like she's the one in charge. She did all the talking, and he sat there. When she said, and I don't know if anybody caught that, but when she said he is losing his mental health by the day. Um, let's see if we can catch hers real quick.
Mello's mom, Kayla Hayes, and we finally did.
We believe in legal process.
We saw
and
this
that is
already.
where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss.
Oh, okay. Well, this it was earlier in her statement. Let me see if there's any more of her statement. I'll have to find her statement another time. But in her statement, she says he is losing his mental health by the minute. His facial expression was like he looked down, rolled his eyes, and turned back. I want to see what the body language experts are saying about this situation, because they've got to have something to say about it. I mean, they really do. They've got to have something to say about it.
That's why you see so many guys that don't grow up with father figures that can't control themselves and choose to violence. I don't actually even think it's the violence itself. It is what the violence implies, which is a lack of emotional regulation and emotional control. And so it's like, again, it's kind of like a second order effect, and it's not a direct effect. Pin-up emotions, exactly, yeah. And this is, by the way, like, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just freeballing it, all right? That's just what it seems like to me, you know?
Well, just an average person can
Not
figure out.
making a hero.
And again, also, by the way, women teach men other things that are important too.
Yeah, and having your parents teach you things. And from what I have seen looking at the Carmelo Anthony family, is it seems to me like they did have a business. I guess it went belly up or something like that. But they go on family vacations, their cruise pictures. A lot of this stuff was found on their Facebooks. The cars, they all have fancy cars and expensive cars and whatever. Carmelo Anthony had a Lexus or something like that. But it looks to me like instead of parenting them, they're buying their children's affection and love. That's what it appears to me is. A lot of times the kids with a lot of money end up being the real problems, actually. It goes both ways. Parents can be in the home and not be present.
So it's not like, women don't have, like, men and women can contribute in unique, individual, and equal ways in the upbringing of a child.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It really does. I mean, the old saying of it takes a village is accurate. It does take a village. And we're not going to listen to the rest of Rob Smith's thing, but if you want to listen to it, you certainly can. But what we are going to compare here real quick is their information. Which
I'm going to link you guys. This is Black Caribbean, so many Black Americans brainwashed to the max. Listen, I'm not.
That's not the part. This is the part.
Forging a check, stealing a car, leading the police on a high-speed chase, probation violations, misdemeanor assault, felony theft of property. So I wonder, guys, I wonder who we should really be listening to, right? Yeah, this is the struggle, bro. This is your struggle. How's this dude not in prison? I don't know. I don't know how you can say that this is not, like, if you actually think that if this company, if the country was racist, you'd be in jail. Like, you would be. And even if the country wasn't racist, you still should be in jail. It's not even a question.
Yeah.
What is going on? Look at the Grifters website and click donate.
Yeah, you can't donate on the website anymore. I don't know if there was a reason for that. But did I miss the part where he went over the information for
I would like
pause it. So, like, let's go ahead and let's
right
look
here.
and let's compare the two people, okay? And so I'm going to link you guys. This is Black Caribbean, so many Black Americans brainwashed to the max. Listen, I'm not a big. I grew up in a very multiracial area, and while there are racist people, and it does happen, and own group preference is real, etc., sure, that happens. I don't think this is a problem that people can't transcend. And so let's go ahead and let's compare these two things, okay? Iraq veteran, Columbia alumni, political analyst, TPUSA influencer, fitness influencer, digital media entrepreneur. Felony to injure a child, forging a check.
Yeah, no, we've already went over that one. So, do you really think that they picked the best person to represent their family? I don't know. I would say probably not. But that's it for my show for today. Sorry for the little delay in there for the 5 minutes or so. I hope whoever was here and waited with me and came back when it came back on, that you were still here. So I apologize for that glitch that it went out. And I apologize for not being here last night. I was not able to be here because I was on a phone call and we were planning a vacation of some sort. So it went longer than we had planned, but otherwise we will be here. I will be here back tomorrow, 7 to 8:30 Central Standard Time. And I will have some Dear Margarets tomorrow. And we are going to talk about a really cool topic. It came up yesterday, and I think it's a really good topic. And I think we all have a little bit of it in us. That's a little hint. I will share what it really is tomorrow. But be here tomorrow, 7:00 Central Time. I am contemplating changing my time, to 5:00 Central Time. And that is because I keep competing with some of the very, very popular shows, and I'm new and I'm trying to build my channel, and I don't want to compete with the ones that, one, I like and I want to watch, and two, that have a big majority of viewers are watching that at the time. So I'm contemplating whether or not I would change my show time to 5:00 or 6:00. If you have any opinion in that and you would like to share with me whether I should or should not do so, please send me an email at Tori@GurlTauX.com, and that's GurlTauX, and Tori is spelled Tori. So Tori@GurlTauX.com. And again, if you want to send in a Dear Margaret, I keep putting them aside. And we will have Dear Margaret tomorrow. You can send those emails to Dear Marge, DearMarg @GurlTauX.com. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here and sharing the evening with me. Again, sorry for the delay and the glitchity glitch as my power went out. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Oh, and don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Share with your friends.
Thank you for watching GurlTauX live broadcast, which airs weekdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to send in your Dear Margaret questions. Then join us for our opinion-based answers. We love having you. Thanks for taking the time to be with us tonight. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night.